Welcome to the AI Research Roundup. I'm Alex. Today we're looking at a paper trending on X, published on November 11th, 2025, about 5 days ago. This paper shows that the striking sparsity seen in reinforcement learning with verifiable rewards is mostly a surface artifact, because a model-conditioned optimization bias pushes updates off principal directions, preserves the spectrum, and even explains why simple storage precision makes changes look sparse, with about 36 to 92% unchanged weights versus supervised fine-tuning, typically about 1 to 19%. The paper is titled, "The Path Not Taken, RLVR Provably Learns Off the Principles," and the implications for model training are quite significant. Alright, the introduction set up the paradox and the three-gate idea. Figure 1 illustrates the contrasting paths. The left panels depict supervised fine-tuning hiking over a steep route, while reinforcement learning follows an implicit compass that detours along a gentler, low-curvature path. The evidence panels on the right compare update masks to principal weight masks, showing that reinforcement learning avoids principal weights. The principal angle curves further show much smaller rotation, so the pre-trained spectrum stays largely intact. While Figure 1 showed restrained movement along low-curvature directions. Table 2 reports cross-run stability using Jacquard overlap, and the values sit around 0.55 to 0.60 across Q, K, V, O, and the MLP projections. These scores exceed a random baseline near 0.43 to 0.47, which signals consistent update footprints across independent runs. The pattern supports model condition locality because the same coordinates tend to change regardless of dataset or algorithm. So, while the previous figure reported cross-run stability, Table 1 quantifies update sparsity. The table states that higher sparsity BF16 means more weight stayed unchanged, and the numbers show a stark gap. Supervised fine-tuning sits near 1 to 3% in several rows and peaks around 19%, whereas reinforcement learning ranges from about 36 to 92%. The measurement uses AB float 16 aware equality test, with ETA set to 1E-3, which is effectively bitwise equality. These results support the claim that reinforcement learning updates concentrate in non-principal, low-magnitude regions. Alright, the previous table emphasized high sparsity. Figure 2 shows where those changes cluster. The consensus ratio maps reveal stripe-like bands across the 13th layer, because the same rows or columns receive updates in most of the 5 runs. The Q, K, and V projections show strong row-wise bands, while the O projection shows column-wise bands. The MLP down projection appears comparatively uniform, and the color bar indicates ratios rising toward 1 when most runs agree. So after those consensus maps, Figure 4 compares spectral geometry for reinforcement learning and supervised fine-tuning. The figure shows that reinforcement learning keeps principal angles tiny and preserves singular values, so the top K subspace barely rotates. The right panels report small maximum principal angles and very low normalized spectral drift across layers. By contrast, the bottom row for supervised fine-tuning exhibits large rotations and noticeably higher drift, which signals heavier disruption of pre-trained structure. Alright, the previous figure contrasted spectral drift. Figure 5 shows that reinforcement learning avoids principal weights and gravitates to low-magnitude coordinates. The layer-wise overlap plots on the right place the blue curve, low-magnitude overlap, well above the orange principal curve, and the purple principal minus low curve, which hovers near 0 against the dashed random baselines. The heat maps across rows reinforce this, since update masks mirror low-magnitude masks rather than principal masks. Together, the evidence indicates off-principal, spectrum-preserving updates. Wrapping up, 2 takeaways stand out. Reinforcement learning with verifiable rewards learns in off-principal, low-curvature directions and largely preserves the pre-trained spectrum. And supervised fine-tuning operates in a different regime that rotates principal subspaces. The broader implication is clear. Parameter-efficient methods should be RL native, prioritizing non-principal, low-magnitude coordinates. That is it for this episode of the AI Research Roundup. I am Alex. Thanks for listening.